actually, I didn't really grow up in Manchester. I kind of grew up on the outskirts. Like I was born in Wythenshawe, and I spent the first few years of my life living in Altrincham. We had a chippy in Altrincham, and all I remember was just kind of watching my parents cook food, serve chips, and then we moved to Marple near Stockport, and doing that for until I was 14, 15, until I ended up working in the chip shops when I was younger. And but I wasn't. We used to come into Manchester like every weekend, like Sunday, to have go to Chinatown, have dim sum, and that was tradition. You know what I mean? Every Sunday, I still do that with my kids now. We come into Chinatown and just kind of eat food, and yeah, it was. I guess it was for me. That was my normal life, really. You know what I mean? It was quite mellow, relaxed, and stuff.
And what were your parents like? Did they tell you much about having come here? That was a big thing to come from Hong Kong to Manchester. Oh, yeah. I guess a big change for them. What was the story behind their move here?
Well, the reason why my dad came over to England was I just think he just felt England had there are more opportunities in England. He keeps telling me. Well, he used to tell me he landed in London. He had £5 in his pocket. They stuck him on a bus, and the bus went up north, and that's where he stayed basically. And that was in the late 50s, and since then he'd been working in restaurants and stuff, and then eventually he bought his first chippy in Altrincham in the early 70s.
Did they have how did he meet your mum?
Oh yeah. My dad met my mum. Well, he met my mum in Hong Kong, like back in the day when there weren't that many Chinese women in Britain. So every now and again, all the Chinese guys would fly back out to Hong Kong. They'll stay there for a few weeks, try and find a girl and take them back, and that's pretty much what happened with my mum. He managed to convince my mum to come over to England. And she came over here in the early 70s, and she worked in the restaurants around Cheshire, and they worked together for a bit in a restaurant in Old the Edge, and eventually they found the money to buy the Chinese takeaway chippy in Altrincham.
Were they really hard working?
Well, yeah, it seemed like they were hard working. I mean, I remember they had to wake up at 9 in the morning, prepare all the food and stuff to open up at midday. You open from midday till 1:30, close for a few hours, open for 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock till 11, and then then after at 11 o'clock, you clear up and then go to bed. Then you wake up at wake me up, take me to school, la di la di la. You mean so? Just looking at those hours that they just doing that, you knew they were hard working.
And what did that teach you?
Well, it didn't. It taught me that, because my parents worked so hard and it looked like it was such hard work. It told me that that's what I didn't want to do. You know what I mean? But essentially, I think it was ingrained in me, hard work. You know what I mean? But what it did teach me was I didn't want to work in the catering business. It was always, I guess, even from a young age, I was aware that I need to find a way out. My parents fully understood that. They kind of they made sure I had a good education and made sure it was paramount to them. That I had a good education. Me and my sister had a good education, so we didn't have to kind of go through what they went through, basically.
And what did they tell you much about Chinese culture and Hong Kong culture? Was that important to them?
Initially, Chinese culture wasn't that important to them. I think they wanted me to integrate with British society more when I was younger. They really pushed me to kind of actually find more white friends than actually have Chinese friends. Having said that, in the areas we lived in, we were the only Chinese family in the area anyway, so that was never the problem. But but not the only way they didn't really tell me anything about Chinese culture is all through food really. That you know, it was like the meals we had. We didn't have like traditional English fish and chips, you know, even though we owned the chippy, we had like a typical Chinese meal, which was kind of would be like offal and noodles and strange vegetables, you know, and also like, you know, like when we were poorly or anything, we'd always be given kind of traditional Chinese herbal remedies as opposed to kind of, you know, Western medicine basically, you know. So in that sense, we weren't directly taught, but it was very much part of my growing up basically.
And do you think it inspired your art in any way, even subconsciously, subliminally?
It probably did, you know. Like like my parents, like they bought like Chinese magazines and Chinese newspapers, and they were like, I do remember, like in some of the papers that they bought and the magazines they bought, there were certain cartoons and characters that I really liked, you know, and I used to copy whilst I was learning to draw, basically. So even though I wouldn't say like they were an influence on me, they probably did influence me kind of subconsciously, basically.
When did you first realise that, you know, art was your thing?
I think I realised art was my thing, yeah, around about the age of maybe 4 or 5, really. You know, it's all I ever did. It's all I thoroughly enjoyed it, but and I can't remember doing anything else really in those days. All my parents gave me was literally like, here's a whole load of chip paper and fill your boots. I can't remember really having anything else as entertainment really.
What were the things you were drawing then as a kid?
Well, it started out just learning how to draw cats and fish and stuff, you know what I mean? And then I went on to drawing people, and then I do remember actually, I do remember I drew a nude woman once when I was about 4, and then my mum saw it, and she was mortified, and because she was mortified, I was mortified, and I was like, please don't show daddy, you know what I mean? So but how I got, you know, how I knew how to draw a nude woman was kind of like really strange. But anyway, I digress.
And so when you were at school, were you thinking, right, I'm going to go and formally study art?
Yeah.
What was your training? Did you have formal training, or did you?
Well, a formal training, like people, I think, have a misconception of what formal training is. It's like, I think, yeah, essentially I did. I did art GCSE, I did art A level, but it's just kind of turning up and rocking up and painting, and you weren't really taught anything. I don't remember being taught anything. I just remember we just kind of like sat there and did stuff and listened to the teachers, but it didn't feel like it was formal training as you'd imagine what formal training is, you know. And then after art A level, I went on to do art foundation in Manchester Poly, no, it was Manchester Metropolitan University then, actually. And then after that, I went down south for a few years to a place that I didn't apply to go to and wanted to leave very quickly, but I stuck out for 2 years, and then when I was 20, I came back up to Manchester.
What did you do then?
Started working the chippy again, but then also I managed to find an illustration agent based in Manchester, as well as I started DJing in the Northern Quarter before it was the Northern Quarter. This was back in 95, 96, basically. And yeah, I started DJing. I was designing flyers and posters for like bars and clubs. And yeah, so that was where I kind of saw my kind of career start. That was a very important part of my career in terms of mixing and getting to know other creative people, but also I had this backup of like I had an illustration agent who would help me find work, you know, at the same time whilst I was kind of hobnobbing with the locals in Manchester. And yeah, the combination of these two is what catapulted, you know, well, what was a catalyst for the start of my career.
Yeah. That's when you realised you could do a living.
Yeah, pretty much so. Yeah, you know. But it wasn't just, you know, well, I had to DJ as well, you know, because DJing, I wasn't making that much money, but the fact that I was making a little bit of money, and then but I could also subsidize that by DJing was good. It gave me a clear view of what I could achieve. Yeah.
What was that era? What year was that kind of?
We're talking about it was around about 95, 96. No, it was 95 when I actually moved into Manchester, and then around about 96, 97, I could probably make a bit of money out of DJing basically, and then I carried on DJing until about 2002, 2003 basically.
And then the art took over.
Pretty much so, yeah.
What was the turning point, and what was the thing that happened that made you a full-time artist rather than a DJ?
All right, there's a lot of things where there was no such turning point. It was a slow kind of tipping point really. Like I was getting more and more work, to a point where actually I'm finding it a struggle to actually DJ so much whilst doing all this work basically, and then slowly, and over the years more and more came my way, and therefore something had to give, and eventually DJ just had to knock it on the head really. I used to have like 4 regular nights, which I was really kind of proud of, but then that reduced down to like 2 regular nights, and then ended up just kind of maybe 1 a year basically. Yeah.
Go up a bit as well, I guess. Or not so many late nights.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, no. Another thing that changed was the licensing policy. I mean, when I was in my prime, so to speak, all the bars shut at 2 o'clock, or and the pubs were shut at 11 o'clock. But now everyone's got late licenses, and the managers still want you to DJ on until like 4 in the morning. I was like, come on, give me a break,
So was there one piece of work that you remember being the first piece of big commercial work where you thought, actually, do you know what? This is what I do. I'm an illustrator.
There's I did a piece for Vodafone. No, I did a Vodafone job and a BT job, 2 advertising campaigns, and admittedly they weren't kind of there were jobs for like a job in Illustrator. They didn't really kind of promote my reputation at all in any way. They just kind of made me loads of money, So, but I felt like as an artist, I needed a reputation boost as opposed to a bigger bank balance boost. If you know what I mean, And that's when the White Stripes came in, and when the White Stripes gave me a phone call, that's when it really changed from being a jobbing illustrator to kind of, I could feel the kind of like a celebrity status happening. I didn't take it for granted, but it was like, I could definitely see stars in my eyes to a certain degree, and I felt like that's something I could push really.
Tell me about that phone call then. What was it?
Oh, the phone call that the White Stripes gave me. Well, initially I did a bootleg poster. I actually rang up SJM because SJM were promoting the White Stripes. They said, "Is it all right to do this poster?" And they kind of ummed and ahed and said, "Yeah, it's kind of all right, But anyway, it never got used officially at any point, So, but I just banged it on the website on MySpace basically, this poster, and then it just kind of travelled around the internet until eventually the White Stripes actually saw it and said, "Well, the management gave me a phone call and said, please can you take down this poster? You're not really meant to sell it." I wasn't selling it anyway, but the idea that it was out, it was there, wasn't something that I was pleased with. But Jack and Meg liked the poster that you designed and would like to work with you, and that's kind of how it all began, really, So they gave me a slap on the wrist, but on the other hand, they kind of said they wanted to work with me, which was nice.
What do you think that says about Manchester's attitude?
I think it says more about my attitude. If it was more about Manchester's attitude, everyone would be doing it. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, but the thing is, like, I'm a chancer, and that's pretty much kind of what I've been told since I was a young lad. You got to take these risks, and like you got to basically you got to try anything to kind of take whether they're risks or not. You know, just try things just to kind of help promote your career, or just not even your career, just to kind of, you know, it's kind of like if you know, I'm trying to find a crap analogy, but you know, you can't win the lottery if you don't buy a lottery ticket. Is pretty much what I'm trying to say. You know.
Do you think there's anything about Manchester that kind of helps those types of people? Is it something in the, is there a mood, is there an attitude around creativity that enables people who think they can do something to, you know, the networks, the people you meet?
Well, I think definitely. I think in Manchester, a lot of the creative people are all just kind of, they have to give it a go because we're not in London. You see, you know, and like there isn't the same infrastructure in Manchester to actually kind of give people careers full stop. You know, we have to build our own careers like when living in Manchester, and because we know we have to build our own careers, we have to kind of go out and take these risks. You know what I mean, and do things. We can't just kind of just sit on our asses and just kind of hope something comes up. Here, you really have to kind of you know, take the ball and run with it, really, you know, and that's pretty much kind of how I've dealt with my life over the last few years.
What about the community? Is there other people with you on that? In that?
Yeah, I think no, there's loads, especially now. I mean, like, I remember when I started, I felt like I was the only illustrator I knew in Manchester, but this is back in the 1990s, and but since now, it's like I know more designers and illustrators and creative people than I've ever known. It's like people, I mean, it might be the recession, but everyone's having a go at starting up their own companies and stuff now. I think that's really it's really good and it's really productive and and everyone's helping each other as well, you know. And I think that's really it helps the city, like creatively, basically.
How does that? I mean, that works not just locally but internationally. You know, in your own circumstances certainly, but you know, that spirit of having a go, doing things means that Manchester's still kind of looked on from across the world for creativity. Do you think?
You're really stretching me now. You're pushing me. Let me think of something. You know, excuse me. Cause you know, if I'm to be honest, it doesn't really matter where I'm from. But like, no, I think Manchester is an important city in terms of the world looking onto it. You know, I think like, okay, we have like the two biggest football clubs in the world now, and the world looks on at Manchester like for its sporting successes, but the rest of us also have to kind of like you know, be represent, basically. You know, we can't just have, you know, a great football club. We need everything else. Like, we need great restaurants to kind of support the fact that we have great football clubs. We need, well, not just restaurants. I mean, like, with great restaurants and great places to go to, everything else needs to be great as well, just to kind of to support, you know, everyone else. You know.
So we're living up to that at the moment.
I think we are, really. You know, I mean, we are.
I guess a different way of saying it. You love Manchester. You grew up here, kind of. So it's not somewhere you discovered by chance in a way, but you're proud of what it is today.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the way Manchester is today. I don't feel like I mean, like there was a case of like everyone who was creative or everyone who was business minded felt the need to leave Manchester and go to London or elsewhere. But I feel like Manchester has the infrastructure now to be able to support people who wanna be successful. You know what I mean? Who want to build careers. I think that's what Manchester has now, and I think, as I say, you know, it is the help of the sporting successes here. It's the help of the growth in restaurants here and the growth in shops and the influx of more people coming to the city. All this helps the city in every way.
So kind of back to China and international travel and the like. So there's a direct route from China to Manchester. There are direct routes coming on all the time from big cities. Do you think it's a good thing that Manchester's attracting visitors, investment, tourists from across the world? And how do we? What do we say to the world when that happens?
I don't know. Christ.
I mean, I see the city's changed so much in my own life.
Yeah.
And there weren't people queuing up to invest here, and now they are. I guess what's happened that means that people are happy to invest here, happy to visit. There weren't tourists coming to Manchester when we were kids.
No.
So what's changed?
What's changed? Well, oh God. I think what's changed in Manchester is, well, since the IRA bomb, when like the amount of investment that the EU put into Manchester was immense, and I felt like, and I think even this was back in '98, I think it was. Was it '98? No, '96. It happened, and like the money that was reinvested back into Manchester is essentially a risk, really, and since then, like, you can see the growth has happened, and all of a sudden that risk in putting money back into Manchester didn't seem like a risk anymore. So it became easy for other investments or investors internationally to even put more money into the city, and that's pretty much kind of, the fact that it didn't become a risk anymore is why it became attractive, and it's also, you don't have to invest as much like in places in London, so yeah, that's why I guess it's all kind of worked out. Yeah.
For your portraits.
Yeah.
That's what we know for.
Yeah.
And how did you come to that style? You've probably been asked this a million times. But how did you develop that as your style?
Well, oh God, that's really difficult. Well, the thing was, like, portraits was something I always did at school. It was never kind of never something I had struggled with, really. It was always something I loved doing, and but when it came to leaving art school, it was something I didn't have the confidence to kind of pursue. It was only kind of 10 years into being an illustrator, actually creating a style as an illustrator, and then from painting to working digitally, it's then kind of like on the 10th year I realised I'm sick of all the work I've done, and I wanted to start doing something I love again, which was drawing portraits. So essentially, I had a illustration style that I created, but then I applied it to doing faces with, because before I was just doing buildings and stuff, and just kind of lifestyle scenes and stuff like that. I had a very kind of it was a vector geometric kind of style that I created, but then I needed to, and then apply that style onto just doing portraits, basically, and then it went from there, really, and I just kept doing it more because I enjoyed it more. So, I felt it was important that the work I was doing I was enjoying, So that's how that began, really.
Are they commissions, or do you just kind of pick someone and?
Well, initially I was just picking people randomly. Well, at the time when I started doing it, Wayne Rooney just joined Man United, and so I just did Wayne Rooney. So he was the first guy I did, and then I was just like looking at newspapers and see who's in the news and stuff like that. I think George Clooney was in something. Or no, I just watched the Ocean's 11. I thought I'll do a picture of George Clooney. So I did drew a picture of George Clooney in that style, and then with the Wayne Rooney picture, I put him on the internet. Well, no, I put it on Twitter. Then Edgar Davids, the footballer, he saw it on Twitter and said, "I want one of me." So I did one of him, and that's when it just snowballed, really. And it was really kind of, I was really fortunate in how it snowballed that way.
Do people commission you more often now, or is it still, do you still do it just for the fun of it?
Admittedly, I probably like, for every 100 commissions I get to do a portrait, I'll probably do one or two myself basically. But yeah, it's yeah, pretty much it's all commission work now, which is good. But at the same time, it's kind of I still want to kind of just do people that I want to do. There are a list of people that I just want to do. You know, they're all in the back of my head, and it's like I got slowly kind of like ticking them off. You know, and
can you give us a few of them?
God,
is that a trade secret?
It's not a trade secret. I can't think of it off the top of my head now. You know, there's a whole load of like historical figures I want to do actually that I've not actually touched on yet. Like people like Shakespeare and Gandhi and stuff like that. You know, I want to do more of them, but like you know the thing about pop culture is they're not ensconced in pop culture, so nobody's going to be interested in them apart from me, which is no problem.
Do you do them because they're controversial, or do you do them because you like the people, or because they're in the news, or what's the?
It's the combination of all things really. I mean, sometimes I'll just do people because I like them. Sometimes I'll do people because it's controversial. You know, and the timing's right. You know, it all depends on my mood as much as anything else as well. You know.
So how many do you generally get a good reaction from the people who you do just because you wanted to do them?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess there's a reaction. Well, you know, I think it was just like I did the Beatles like about a year ago, just because of you know, not that anyone don't know who the Beatles were, but I just felt like I was just listening to the White Album and thought I'll do the Beatles because I've not done them properly for like 10 years. And yeah, that got a good reaction, you know what I mean?
Paul McCartney?
Paul McCartney? No, he didn't ring me up. He might do one day. Actually, wouldn't surprise, you know, no. Would it surprise me? No, it wouldn't. No, I'm not surprised by the weird phone calls I get now.
Who's the most incredible person that ever rang you? Who stopped you? Who's kind of stopped in your track?
Oh, they're usually footballers, really. You know, like even just the one of Gary. I did one of Gary Neville recently, and now he's using it for his avatar on his Twitter page. So that's quite nice.
What about Donald Trump?
Donald Trump. Well, yeah, he loves me. Yeah. Well, no, yeah, I did the Donald Trump image for the New York Times magazine, and it was on the cover. It was his head on a balloon. It was a good concept. Yeah, the concept was great. When I got a phone call, but yeah, I'm in. I'm doing it. You know, but you know, but what I didn't expect was like the day after he'll talk about it in the Washington Post. You know, saying he didn't like it and stuff like that. And then the week after that he moaned about it in GQ magazine. So yeah, I felt very good when he showed his anger. Yeah.
Not a fan.
No, well, no, he's not a fan of my work, no, which is fine.
You're not a fan of his work.
No. No.
Have you done much media in America?
Yeah, I was doing like in the run up towards the election, like I did lots of media. I mean, like I drew like Trump dozens of times and Hillary Clinton dozens of times for like different publications over there, which was, you know, it was very lucrative, you know, and as well as all the other Republican candidates as well, you know. So in 2015, yeah, I was a busy guy doing loads of political illustrations.
Was that for political commentary, kind of?
Pretty much so, yeah. You know, it was yeah, it was and but yeah, what really annoyed me was it was because I guess if I lived in the States, I'll see myself as a Democrat. But I was asked to do lots of pictures of Republicans, which kind of annoyed me a bit. Yeah.
Do you like the idea of your work as political comment, though? As kind of not that bothered? Is it just about the aesthetic?
Well, if people are, you know, are moved by what I do, you know, politically, then that's great. That's great too. But you know, admittedly, if I go back to, you know, my kind of ethos when I when I was at school, or even a student, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's all style and no content. You know, so what the actual story meant didn't really matter, as long as it looked good. You know, that was pretty much kind of my mantra. And like, but I guess it's kind of changed now as I've grown up. And like, if people are affected by or have something to say about what I do, like that isn't purely on an aesthetic level, then that's great too. Yeah.
So you like the idea that there's more meaning in your work. It
Yeah.
still looks brilliant, but the
Yeah,
idea that you
I
can...
do now. Yeah, admittedly I didn't care a jot when I was younger, but yeah, I do now. I kind of try and kind of put some, every now and again, if the illustration lends itself to it, I will try and put like a hidden meaning somewhere. You mean, and it's up to whether other people can spot it or not. You know.
Quite mysterious as well, aren't you?
Well, yeah, you can be. As an illustrator, you're allowed to be. You know, and but yeah.
So we need to look out for...
Yeah, look out for hidden meaning. I tell you something like a friend. Well, not a friend. Like, he's an artist that I used to admire, and he used to work for the Telegraph. Being a staunch socialist, working for the Telegraph is going to cause friction to a certain degree. But anyway, he was employed by the Telegraph, so he's doing these political images. But within each image, he'll have these like little patterns. These patterns were actually braille, but they were kind of like anti-factory slogans, like in braille, that he'll incorporate into all his illustrations, which I always found quite funny.
We should look out for these little
clues. Yeah.
Little clues, yeah. Do you stand for anything in particular? Are you like kind of... Are you political or not really?
I've become more political in a sense like that. I'm feeling like politics has moved so far to the right that we need to move it back to the left. You mean? I'm essentially, I see myself as a centrist, essentially, but because of where I stand and where politics has moved so far to the right, I'm in the left now. You mean? But yeah, I have, I don't want politics to be involved in my life too much, but because of the way things have happened, you have to say something or do something or try at least kind of, put a message across.
You don't campaign actively for anything in particular, though?
Well, I do actually. I kind of, when I say campaign, it's like I'll go on all the anti-Tory marches, or maybe not anti. Well, anyway, I don't know how to kind of put them in inverted commas, but the NHS marches and stuff like that. I'll go out, I raise money for refugees. I raise money for the homeless, doing various kind of stuff.
So you try and give something back. Is that through arts, like art sales and?
Well, not through art sales. Literally, like we've done two pretty big gigs recently. Like one to help like Syrian refugees. I mean, me with a few mates, Joel Perry, who works. He owns a sound production company, and he goes on tour with bands. And then there's Elliot Eastwick. He's a DJ, and we put on like two big kind of charity gigs recently. In terms of, I do all the design and promotion of the posters and flyers, etc. So we all work together in promoting these gigs, and we managed to raise about 30 grand over the last 18 months. So that's that's been pretty amazing.
It's a good thing about Manchester again, that people pull together.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, when we need to. Yeah, it's like the Syrian refugee crisis gig we did. Like we had like in 2 weeks we the idea happened, and then in 2 weeks later we had a venue. We had 10 people performing. We had Badly Drawn Boy and Johnny Marr playing, and did Johnny Marr play? I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, and it was magic. Yeah.
Manchester cares. Do you think there's
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Ooh, actually, when I say definitely, there's a part of Manchester that does care a lot. You mean, and I think that part are very vocal and very strong. You know, and it's but we need to kind of convince more people to care. I think I don't really have any big ambitions, so to speak. You know, like I mean, like my one ambition, which is above everything else, is to clear my mortgage and go into semi-retirement. That's my big ambition, and to do it before I'm 50, which is not long now. But no, I just kind of like I feel like as an artist, well, I'm less of an artist and more of a mercenary basically because the work I do, I always work for other clients. That's the way it has been for me for the last 20 years. So I'm guessing what I really wanted to do now is actually do my own art and like more of it and less client-based, commercially driven stuff really. Just stuff I kind of, you know, just paintings for myself really. Actually start painting again is one thing that I want to start doing again. I mean, everything's been digital for the last 10 years. I got an easel, which is over there somewhere. I bought my paintbrushes. I got canvases that I bought recently just so I can get back into it again. But I'm not at the time, and it's really frustrating.
Would that be portraits again?
Portraits, I don't know. Just kind of see what happens. Really, I always wanted to be an abstract artist, you know, as much as anything else, as well as a portrait artist. And maybe it's the case of combining the two, and just kind of, you know, there's the little things that I wanted to do when I was like younger. When I say like a lot of things, you know, when I left art school, and I never really managed to achieve, and it's a case of having to find money in those days, which stopped me from achieving my ambitions, as artistic ambitions anyway.
So it's about you, I guess.
Yeah, so it's always about me, yeah. Or at least try to be, yeah, to a certain degree.